We're going to cover importing your devices using the IP range scanner or watched subnets tool within the product. This will also cover nightly discovery of subnets or IP ranges. To get to this page, go to the Devices tab at the top and select Discovery Manager. Discovery Manager has 3 tabs. You'll want to select the Watched Subnets tab and add your first subnet. You're going to want to give it a name, select which peer is responsible for polling or the scan, and also select which option in terms of action you'd like to perform when it discovers a device. The system can automatically take a device it finds and begin polling it within the system. Alternatively, it can also put it into a candidates queue for your approval. So if you have a very well-defined IP range, you know everything that you're going to bring back, then add device is probably the appropriate option. If you have a wider subnet that maybe defines a particular portion of the office rather than a class of devices, then you might want to add a candidate. And the good thing about the candidates queue, as we'll see in a moment, you can actually blacklist devices so they don't show up in following scans. So if you came back in the initial scan with a bunch of desktops you have no desire to monitor, you could blacklist those, and then when it's scanned again at an interval that you define, they will no longer show up, or at least they can be toggled in such a way that they will be hidden from view. So a few things we can do. We want to define when this particular scan actually occurs. So I will say maybe 12:15 a.m. and I will add that. And then maybe I want something different for the weekends, and I want it to be at 1 a.m. So you can see how I could define on a per day basis when these scans actually occur. I'm going to save this. Now the check SNMP option should be deselected if you're scanning a very large range, simply because what will happen on the back end is we will check every single community string available to us in the cluster manager. So if you have a number of those, it might take some time for the scan to complete. So another thing we can do is elect whether we want this to be an IP range or a subnet. I am going to elect to do an IP range. And you also have the option of creating a group. So just because I have added a subnet does not mean the scan is going to kick off. I need to actually select this and select the scan now. Now the scan is successfully started. You can actually watch it go through the entire range by selecting the auto refresh button, and the status bar will update as new devices are tested within the system. Now in the candidates queue, you have a few options available to you. So under status, if a device is marked as in SevOne NPM, it means we are already polling that device within the system. You can hide that from view by selecting Hide Edit, and those go away. Now we have a list of candidates as well. Now these candidates I can elect to block. So let's say I don't actually want to monitor these 2 devices. All I would have to do is select the block button, and then I have the option to select hide blocked when using the system. So again, if you get a bunch of desktops back in a range that you're not looking to monitor, you can block them from your view. And then finally, select the devices, or maybe all of them, that you would like to add to the system, and simply select Add Devices. You can watch the devices being discovered and the discovery queue just by hitting the auto refresh button. That covers using the IP scan functionality of SevOne to import your devices.